Tiny Harris, the woman who turned her scars into a shield for her family, who forgave the unforgivable when she caught T.I. in the nursery with a nanny, has just been hit with a betrayal so agonizing, it defies human understanding. Imagine the haunting silence of a mansion built on lies. Tiny didn't just find a secret, she found a new life growing in the shadows of her own home. The King of the South didn't just break his vows, he allegedly turned his own staff into a hunting ground, getting his personal assistant pregnant right under Tiny's roof. Can you feel the soul-crushing weight of those tears? Can you hear the sharp, jagged crack of a woman's spirit finally splintering into a million pieces? This isn't just gossip, it's a forensic dismantling of a 20-year soul bond. As the assistant files a bombshell lawsuit for child support, dragging even Lil Uzi Vert into this legal wreckage, Tiny Harris stands in the ruins of her sanctuary, clutching her chest, screaming at the walls until her voice is a hollow rasp. The woman who stood by him through prison bars and public shame has finally realized her palace was a cage of vipers. Get ready, because the leaked ultrasound is out, the hush money has failed, and the Queen's final goodbye will leave you breathless and broken. This is the end of the Harris empire, and God help the woman who stayed too long. The silence in the Harris mansion isn't peaceful, it's the heavy, suffocating weight of a tomb. For 20 years, Tiny Harris didn't just live in this house, she guarded it. She was the sentinel, the woman who took every bullet, every headline, and every prison sentence meant for the man she called her king. But tonight, the air in that palace has turned to poison. The triple betrayal was supposed to be the bottom, the absolute darkest depth of a woman's suffering. We thought her heart couldn't possibly break any further after the devastating revelations of her best friend's treachery. We were wrong. In the shadows of the Harris empire, a new monster has emerged, and it has a heartbeat. To understand the sheer, soul-crushing agony of this moment, we have to go back. We have to look at the scars Tiny already carries. Do you remember the nanny scandal? Do you remember the cold, jagged shock that rippled through the industry when reports surfaced that T.I. had allegedly turned the very nursery where his children slept into a playground for his infidelities? Tiny Harris, the poised queen, had welcomed that nanny into her sanctuary. She gave her the keys to her home, the trust of her children, and a seat at her table. And in return, she was met with the ultimate violation. The image of Tiny standing in that nursery, realizing the woman she trusted to protect her babies was the same woman helping her husband destroy her marriage. It's a haunting memory that never truly faded. Fans watched in horror as she tried to pick up the pieces, as she tried to glue her soul back together for the sake of the family hustle. She chose forgiveness. She chose to believe that a man could change. She chose to be the ride or die because she believed her love was a shield that could deflect even the sharpest daggers of betrayal. But history doesn't just repeat itself in the Harris household. It evolves into a more sinister form. Tonight, the nanny scandal feels like a mercy compared to the news that has just leveled Tiny Harris to her knees. The pattern isn't just a mistake anymore, it's a predatory strategy. Sources close to the inner circle are whispering the unthinkable. The King of the South allegedly treats his own staff, the people hired to serve and protect his family, as a hunting ground. And this time, the betrayal didn't end with a secret encounter or a hidden DM. This time, the betrayal has left a permanent mark. The rumor started as a flicker in the dark, a personal assistant who stayed a little too late, a bank statement with irregular withdrawals, and a change in the atmosphere that Tiny, with her sharpened instincts, could feel in her bones. She had been here before. She knew the smell of a lie. She knew the way T.I. looks when he's constructing a new floor in his palace of deception. But she never imagined that the assistant, the woman who handled her schedule, who knew her secrets, who saw her cry over the last betrayal, was carrying a secret of her own. A secret that would take 9 months to reveal. The revelation didn't come through a gentle conversation. It came like a lightning strike. Reports say Tiny uncovered a series of panicked text messages and a digital trail leading to a private medical facility. When the truth finally screamed that T.I. had allegedly gotten his personal assistant pregnant, the sound Tiny made wasn't a scream. It was a hollow, guttural rasp of a woman who has finally run out of air. Can you imagine the déjà vu of that moment? Standing in the same halls where the nanny once walked, realizing that the man you forgave, the man you fought the world for, has brought a new life into the mess of his own making. Tiny didn't just lose a husband today, she lost the last shred of her reality. She realized that every "I love you," every "I'm sorry," and every grand gesture of the past year was nothing more than hush money for her soul while he was building a secret family in the shadows. The rage that followed was unlike anything the family hustle cameras ever captured. This wasn't a reality TV argument. This was the death of a 20-year soul bond. Sources describe a scene of absolute devastation, the sound of shattered glass echoing through the mansion, the heavy thud of suitcases being thrown down the stairs, and Tiny's voice, raw and bleeding, demanding to know how he could do it again. How he could use their own home, their own staff, their own life to humiliate her one more time. "You didn't just break our vows," she reportedly screamed, her voice breaking under the weight of 1,000 tears. "You brought a new life into this nightmare. You didn't just cheat. You replaced me in our own home." As the sun sets on the Harris estate, the image of Tiny Harris is no longer one of a ride-or-die queen. It is the image of a survivor standing in the wreckage of a burned-out empire. The nanny was the warning. The assistant is the end. The queen is no longer fighting for her marriage. She is fighting for her life. And as the legal war begins to brew, and names like Lil Uzi Vert start surfacing in connection to the assistant's demands, the world is holding its breath. Because this time, Tiny isn't looking for an apology. She's looking for the exit. The fallout is here. The air inside the Harris mansion didn't just turn cold, it turned lethal. As the echoes of Tiny's screams faded into a haunting, hollow silence, the true scale of the assistant scandal began to leak out of the shadows like oil from a sinking ship. This wasn't just a momentary lapse in judgment. This wasn't a one-night mistake fueled by the pressures of the industry. No, this was a calculated, long-term architectural betrayal. Reports are now emerging that while Tiny was rebuilding her soul from the triple betrayal, T.I. was allegedly funding a completely separate existence for his personal assistant. The betrayal didn't just have a face, it had a bank account. Imagine the sheer, visceral shock of Tiny Harris, the woman who meticulously managed the Harris brand, discovering the paper trail of infidelity. Sources close to the inner circle claim that Tiny stumbled upon a series of wire transfers and miscellaneous business expenses that didn't add up. We're talking about thousands of dollars funneled from accounts Tiny herself had worked to fill. This wasn't just money for hush payments, it was for prenatal care, a luxury apartment, and a lifestyle designed to keep the assistant silent and satisfied while Tiny played the role of the loyal wife on camera. But you can't hide a heartbeat forever. The tension reached a boiling point when the assistant, the woman Tiny had trusted with her schedules, her sensitive documents, and her daily life, stopped being a silent shadow. Allegedly, the assistant realized that her position was more than just staff. She held the ultimate leverage over the king of the South. The hush money wasn't enough anymore. She wanted security. She wanted a name. And most dangerously, she wanted the world to know that the baby she was carrying was a Harris. The confrontation that followed was like a scene from a Shakespearean tragedy. Imagine the visual. Tiny Harris, the Queen of Atlanta, standing in her dressing room, clutching a stack of medical bills she was never supposed to see. The name on the top wasn't hers. The procedure wasn't hers. It was an ultrasound, a grainy, black and white image of a new life that represented the death of her own. When Tiny confronted the assistant, the response wasn't an apology. It was a cold, defiant stare. The mask of the helpful staff member fell away to reveal a woman who knew she had the king trapped. "You didn't just bring her into our business." Tiny reportedly wept, her voice trembling with a rage that could burn the mansion down. "You brought her into our bloodline." But the nightmare doesn't stop at the gates of the Harris estate. This is where the story takes a sharp, legal turn into the bizarre. As the assistant realized T.I. was scrambling to suppress the news, she didn't just run to the blogs. She ran to the courthouse. And she didn't go alone. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the music industry, The assistant has filed a bombshell lawsuit for child support that unexpectedly drags Lil Uzi Vert into the wreckage. The industry is reeling. Why Uzi? Sources suggest that the assistant's legal team is targeting the complex web of business ties, street investments, and silent partnerships that T.I. and Uzi allegedly share. They aren't just looking for a monthly check. They are going after the empire. The assistant is reportedly claiming that T.I. used joint business ventures to hide the assets he was using to support her, making Uzi's financial records a key part of the forensic discovery. It's a legal bloodbath that threatens to expose more than just a secret baby. It could unravel the financial secrets of some of the biggest names in the game. Can you feel the weight of Tiny's humiliation? To have your husband's secret family become a public legal circus. To see the names of other artists dragged into your private hell. Tiny Harris is no longer just a heartbroken wife. She is a woman watching her life's work, the Harris legacy, be picked apart by vultures. The nanny scandal was a wound, the triple betrayal was a scar, but this is an amputation. Reports from inside the camp say Tiny is beyond broken. She has reportedly retreated to a private wing of the house, refusing to speak to T.I., refusing to even look at the man she once called her soulmate. She is haunted by the pattern. She looks at her own children and wonders how their father could be so reckless with their future. How he could prioritize a fleeting moment with an assistant over the sanctuary he spent 20 years building. The leaked footage, reportedly grainy security clips from the mansion's hallway, shows a woman who has aged a decade in a week. Tiny is seen pacing, clutching her phone, her eyes red and swollen from tears that won't stop falling. She is a queen without a kingdom, a wife without a home, a woman who stayed for the family hustle, only to realize the hustle was on her. The king of the South is now a king under siege. His lawyers are filing injunctions. His PR team is working overtime to kill the Uzi connection, but the truth has its own pulse. The assistant's lawsuit is the ticking time bomb that will end it all. And as Tiny Harris prepares to walk away for the final time, she isn't just taking her bags. She's taking the truth with her. Stay tuned, because the hush money is running out, and the queen is finally ready to scream. The Harris empire didn't just crumble, it turned into a scorched earth battlefield. In this final, devastating chapter of the assistant scandal, the masks have been incinerated, leaving behind a raw, bleeding reality that no amount of hush money can fix. Tiny Harris, the woman who survived the nanny scandal, the woman who stood tall during the triple betrayal, has finally reached the edge of the world. And tonight, she isn't looking back. The betrayal didn't just break the marriage, it destroyed the bloodline. The atmosphere inside the mansion has shifted from a home to a crime scene of the heart. Reports are emerging of a final, explosive confrontation that lasted until the early hours of the morning. Sources say Tiny Harris didn't just find the ultrasound, she found this secret ledger. While T.I. was allegedly whispering promises of forever to Tiny, his bank records were screaming a different story. We're talking about a systematic funneling of the Harris fortune to secure a future for a child that Tiny never asked for. The realization that her own hard-earned legacy, the sweat and tears she poured into the family hustle, was being used to bankroll her husband's double life, was the final dagger. Tiny Harris didn't just rage, she went numb. But the real earthquake hit when the assistant's lawsuit went from a whisper to a roar. The legal documents filed against T.I. and the shock inclusion of Lil Uzi Vert have sent the music industry into a state of the assistant isn't just asking for child support, she is reportedly demanding a lifestyles of the rich and famous settlement. She is claiming that T.I. promised her a seat at the table, a piece of the empire, and a life of luxury in exchange for her silence. Now that the quiet money has dried up, she is ready to burn the whole house down. The legal war has dragged private business deals into the light of day. By naming Uzi in the discovery process, the assistant's lawyers are threatening to expose the hidden financial structures of T.I.'s entire inner circle. This isn't just about a baby anymore. It's about racketeering, hidden assets, and betrayal on a corporate level. The king of the South is watching his throne turn into a witness stand. Can you imagine the weight of the silence Tiny Harris is carrying right now? Reports from those close to her say she hasn't slept in days. She is seen staring at the walls of the nursery, the same nursery where the nanny scandal first broke her spirit, realizing that the man she loved didn't just make a mistake, he lived a lie. Every anniversary, every public display of affection, every Team Tiny post was a performance. While she was being the ride or die, he was allegedly building a backup dynasty with the help. The most heart-wrenching detail? Tiny reportedly requested a private meeting with the assistant. Not to fight, not to scream, but to look into the eyes of the woman who was carrying her husband's child. Sources say the meeting lasted only 5 minutes. Tiny walked out, her face a mask of absolute ice, and went straight to her legal team. The command was simple: total disclosure. No settlements. No mercy. The leaked footage from the Harris estate's security cameras tells the story better than any headline. You see the moving trucks arriving in the dead of night, not for T.I., but for Tiny. The queen is vacating the palace. You see her carrying her children's belongings, her head held high even as the tears fall silently down her face. She isn't just leaving a man, she is leaving 20 years of an illusion. She is leaving the nanny, the assistant, and the snakes behind in the ruins of the kingdom they helped destroy. The King of the South is now a man alone in a hollow mansion. His inner circle is fracturing, his business partners are distancing themselves from the Uzi connection, and his legacy is being mocked across every social media platform. He thought he was untouchable. He thought the hush money would buy him a lifetime of secrets. But he forgot one thing: you can't silence a woman who has nothing left to lose. As the sun rises on a new era, Tiny Harris is finally breathing air that isn't poisoned by lies. The assistant scandal was the fire that finally consumed the Harris empire, but from the ashes, a survivor is rising. The throne is empty, the nursery is a memory, and the triple betrayal has reached its final, agonizing conclusion. The fallout is complete. The truth is screaming. And Tiny Harris? She is finally undeniably free. Stay alert because the court dates are set, the DNA results are coming, and the final leak will change everything you thought you knew about the king and his queen. The world didn't just stop. It started to bleed. We have watched Tiny Harris give 20 years of her soul, her loyalty, and her youth to a man who allegedly turned her own home into a betrayal factory. From the nursery with a nanny to a secret pregnancy with the assistant, how much can one woman's heart take? Tiny didn't just lose a husband today. She lost her sanctuary. She lost the ground beneath her feet. Can you feel the chill of that treachery? To be surrounded by those who claim to love you, only to realize they've been plotting your emotional demise all along. But tonight, the King of the South is learning a bitter lesson. You cannot build an empire on the tears of the woman who built you. We are standing at the edge of history, witnessing the death of a dynasty. But Tiny Harris is not alone. We are her army. We are the voice for every woman who has ever been betrayed by the person she trusted most. Silence in the face of this kind of cruelty is complicity. If you believe Tiny Harris deserves to walk away with her head held high, if you believe that loyalty still matters in a world of snakes and assistants, then we need to make some noise. Type #TeamTiny in all caps in the comments right now. Let's flood the sections so the world knows exactly where we stand. Do you think the assistant and T.I. can ever be forgiven, or is this child support lawsuit the final nail in the coffin? Your theories keep the truth alive when hush money tries to bury it. Smash that like button if your heart shattered for Tiny today. And if you want to be the first to see the leaked DNA results and the full vault footage before the lawyers wipe it from the internet, subscribe and turn on all notifications. The performance is over. The masks are off. And the queen is finally walking into the light. Don't just watch the fallout. Be the justice she never got.